Don't do this with Danger Dan.
Today we will be discussing air staplers and exactly how to not use them and what to not do. First, make sure you have an air stapler and make sure your air stapler has the longest staples in it can possibly hold. Air staplers are not designed to run any staple shorter than the maximum staple they can fit. Secondly, make sure you have air pressure hooked to it. Once you have air pressure hooked to it, make sure you have the maximum amount of pressure coming out of your compressor, as air staplers love pressure and have no pressure rating on them whatsoever. And if by some chance you see a pressure rating on an air stapler, you should avoid it at all costs. And if you had happened to read your instruction manual, please disregard everything you've seen in there, as it will not help you in the use of this air stapler at all. If by some chance you have a different length of staple other than the longest staple that can fit in this air stapler, you should not use it, as it is most likely a manufacturer error and should not be in production. Once your air stapler is loaded and your air pressure is on, you're ready to go. First thing you want to do here is test your air stapler. A good way to test your air stapler is by pointing it at valuable objects or breakable objects, holding the tip of the air stapler and pressing the trigger. Once that is done and you have successfully damaged or broken something, injured yourself or someone else, you're ready to go. Another thing you will need to do is select the type of material you wish to staple. Now, as you see here, there are two different types of material, both being wood, but both different thicknesses. Now that we've selected the longest type of staple, we want to ensure that the staple will make it all of the way through the material we are stapling. This staple here will not, and as mentioned, that is a manufacturer error. So we will not use that staple. We will use this one. That is the longest staple possible. So hold the staple up to the material you wish to staple, and as you see, this staple will not get all the way through. So you do not want to use it on this material. You want to use it on a different material, like this for example. The staple will get all the way through, ensuring the maximum amount of penetration for the best finished product possible. Now that we are ready to staple and we have selected our material, it is time to staple. Now before we staple this material, you may be wondering, why Danger Dan? Why do we want such a long staple? Well, it's because when a staple goes through material, it creates friction, and friction creates heat. And in order to get rid of heat, the staple needs to have air cooling. Therefore, by letting the staple pass through all of the material and hang out the back end, it will get the air cooling it requires. That's staple. If you are not comfortable using your hand to hold the material, feel free to use other body parts such as legs, feet. Be sure to not forget about the chest and stomach, as these have no vital organs behind them and cannot be injured in any way possible. Now that we've covered all the main things of the air stapler, you may be wondering, Danger Dan, when do you use an air stapler?
Well, that's a real tricky question. Personally, I prefer using an air stapler in the city where everyone can hear it till late hours of the night. Cities don't have curfews and neighbors don't get angry when you're noisy. So that's when I decide to use my air stapler. I in fact use it without any extra lighting in the yard, so it's even more difficult and less chance of getting injured. Now, let's say you don't live in the city and you live in the country. That's okay. Air staplers thrive in the country. Why, you ask? Well, they're remote and there's higher chance of being less cell service out there. Therefore, you are more prone to get hurt with your air stapler and have less help. Actually, if you may not have known this, but air staplers are allergic to first aid kits. Yes, they are. So, the farther you can keep a first aid kit away from your work area, the better. How far, you're wondering? Well, I'd say even completely off the work site is quite acceptable, even if you go as far to say that the store shelf is sometimes too close for an air stapler. And they do thrive with first aid kits being farther away. So if you want to keep your workplace productive, get that first aid kit out of there and get stapling today. Anyways, Danger Dan once again, how to not use an air stapler.